The 25th Hour Radio Show. Nicole, first of all, I want to thank you for taking a few minutes out of your day to join me on the show. It's a real honor.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure, Rob. Thank you.
You know, real quick before we get into the reason why you're here, and that's to discuss your new book, Rich Bitch, a simple 12-step plan for getting your financial life together finally. Do you mind giving our listeners a little background about yourself? You know, what made you choose the career field that you're in, and how did finance end up being your specialty?
You know, I'm the least likely person to be a finance expert. It's kind of hilarious. I grew up in an immigrant household, Rob. There was no Wall Street Journal on the kitchen counter. There was never any discussion about stocks or bonds or any of that jazz. My boyfriend in high school said he wanted to be a hedge fund manager, and I thought he wanted to be in gardening. So I was totally clueless until I got a job. I needed a job. I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth, so I really made my life happen. I didn't have any family connections, but I was offered a job on the floor of the Chicago Merc, which is the stock exchange in Chicago. And they were like, do you know anything about business? I'm like, I will learn. And that is exactly what I did. I was thrown into the deep end on the floor. I got my MBA at the School of Hard Knocks. I'm very open and honest and wear it as a badge of honor that I didn't get my real MBA or work in a bank. I just learned the hard way. And what I realized is that money and finance is just a language, like anything else. The thing is that we just didn't learn this stuff in school. We didn't have a Rosetta Stone, so I couldn't be that hard on myself. But at the same time, I wanted to create a Rosetta Stone, so to speak, for my former self, that clueless girl who was smiling and nodding instead of joining basic money conversations.
You know, since we only have a few minutes, let's jump right into this. First of all, the title, Rich Bitch. I love that, by the way. What was your inspiration?
Thank you.
Yeah, what was your inspiration in writing it? I mean, what does a rich bitch mean to you in your own words?
So bling and private jets is not what a rich bitch has to do with. A rich bitch is a woman who is confident and empowered to live the life she wants by getting the financial part of her life in order. So I've been called a bitch in a derogatory sense, but there is nothing wrong with being strong and confident. So I'm taking back the word and owning it, and also showing folks that you can live a rich, full life in all aspects of the word and use money as a vehicle to get the life you want.
You know, as far as a few of the topics you cover, I'm going to assume the misuse of credit is one of the main no-nos. And a lot of times this starts at a real young age, like, you know, when someone leaves their parents' house for the first time and goes off to college. For those who might be getting themselves in trouble this early in life, do you think it's because they have a general lack of financial knowledge, or they're just living in the moment, not thinking about the future?
There's a little bit of both. Absolutely. There's a little bit of you only live once, a little YOLO in there. And then there's also the misconceptions and misinformation out there about money topics, and also the fear of money because it sounds so crazy, scary, and intimidating. So for me, it was really important to make Rich Bitch a 12-step program to getting your financial life together finally. And like other 12-step recovery programs, the first step is admitting you have a problem. I mean, I had a problem. I got myself in $5,000 of credit card debt. I got myself out of it the hard way, and I tell my honest story about how I did just that.
You know, it's not just the kids we're talking about either. You know, managing finances is a lifelong process. And I know you're focusing on women, you know, showing them how to create and live on a realistic spending plan. What do you mean by realistic spending plan, you know, as opposed to an unrealistic spending plan?
Well, I think an unrealistic spending plan is one that you don't allow yourself any fun. That is something you're never going to stick to. So I actually am the only financial expert who argues for your morning latte. We've heard so many times that, you know, financial experts will say, cut out your morning latte, make your own coffee, you know, you'll get to financial freedom. That's baloney. I think a spending plan is a lot like an eating plan. If you allow yourself small indulgences, you won't binge later on. So in the equivalent of an eating plan, which is a euphemism for a budget, doesn't feel as scary, you allow yourself a small Hershey's Kiss so you don't binge on a big old hunk of chocolate cake in the middle of the night later on. Not that I know anything about that, but you don't feel as deprived, so you don't end up binging. So in the same way, allow yourself extras in your spending plan that will keep you on track and keep you from binging later on. So I create for women a little budget diary, which is an LBD, not a little black dress, but it also never goes out of style. And 70% of your monthly income should go to the essentials. 15% should go to the end game, which is your future self and retirement and savings. And then 15% should go to the extras, which is what we just talked about, the latte, the small indulgences, whatever does it for you. But factor that into a budget that will keep you on track and keep you from binging later on.
What about the women out there who's doing everything right, but they're looking for ways to improve, and protect their credit rating? You're also offering advice on how to do that as well, right?
Absolutely. I mean, there is an advanced way to get control of your financial destiny and grow your wealth. The best way to grow wealth is actually through investing. If you keep your money in a big account, you're only getting maybe 1%, and that's diddly squat. So with inflation being at 3% over time, you're actually losing money. So the best way to grow and sustain your wealth is actually through investing. So that's what I suggest as an advanced method after you've created your emergency fund and also after you've gotten the debt monkey off your back.
Now, there's ways people can start saving money right now. I mean, you're saying anyone at any time can contact credit card companies, utility companies, cable companies, and possibly negotiate a lower rate, right? Anytime. Anybody can do this.
Absolutely. It's really about negotiating for yourself. It's your money. You might as well fight for it. It drives me crazy when I hear folks say, "Oh, I don't negotiate my APR." I say, "What? Are you crazy?" That is absolutely negotiable. Just because it's written on a piece of paper and printed fancy doesn't mean that's the way it needs to be. You should definitely call and negotiate. I take time out once a quarter to negotiate my major bills with utility companies, cable companies. Studies have shown that we are actually spending $350 more on our cell phone plan because we're in the wrong plan. So it's about taking control of your bills and fighting for the money that's rightfully yours. Companies will throw you a bone versus losing you as a customer. So the thing that you have to risk is just not asking at all.
That's just a sample of the sort of advice you're offering in this book. And you're also throwing out what you call bitch tips. Can you give us an example of what you consider in this book as a bitch tip?
I have a lot of bitch tips. When negotiating your salary, for example, you should consider your overall compensation package. So sometimes it's not just the base salary that you want to bump in, it's an extra perk that might actually be more valuable to you than an extra bump in base pay, like a day working from home or your cell phone bill getting paid by your employer if you are working for somebody else, or a bump in benefits. So I think that we should start thinking about our overall compensation package when we're negotiating our salary.
Before we start to wrap this up, what else are you offering in this book, that I failed to mention that maybe our listeners might be interested in?
Wow, it's a 12-step program that you can read all together, starting at step 1, or you can read it individually, and it touches on every subject that you might be facing at a particular point in your life and debunks conventional financial wisdom. Whatever place in your life you're at, whether you're renting an apartment, whether you're starting a business, whether you're in a relationship and need to have the talk, that's a money story too, by the way, because the number one cause of divorce is not cheating or anything else, it's money. So that's a big part of the conversation that we get into. So I think it's about starting to think for yourself, not accepting conventional financial wisdom at all, because time after time we've heard, invest in a 401k. Yes, maybe that's true, but maybe there's a better way, and I explain that to folks. And also when you hear financial experts say, buy a house, it's your ticket to financial freedom, don't buy a latte. I actually say you might rent a house and buy your latte. That's okay with the finance gods. They're not going to come and get you.
Now, do you have social media that's dedicated just to this book, or is it all tied in with your personal pages and website?
It's both. So I have NicoleLapin.com, where I have a bunch of free tools, a free budgeting tool that's super easy to use, free calculators, worksheets, all that jazz that's spunky and sassy and doesn't feel scary. And then all my social media at Nicole Lapin, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. And then at Rich Bitch Book is dedicated just to the book as well.
Well, all you want to be rich bitches out there, make sure you get your copy of Rich Bitch, and be on your way to financial freedom. Nicole, thanks so much for coming on the show. It's been an honor.
Thank you so much. The pleasure was all mine, Rob.
25th Hour Radio Show.